ready?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right, welcome to the Greatness Podcast, brought to you by Sky Insurance Brokers. I am your host, Eric Scholey, and along with me, as always,
Brie Milani.
who is usually the head host, but I'm joining her today. And today we have a very special guest, a dear friend of mine, and an all-star in the mortgage industry, Mr. Char Ruppel.
Hello, how are we doing?
Doing good. Welcome to the show.
You're too kind.
When I saw that we had you on the calendar for the show, I was very excited because it's going to be entertaining as always. I'm sure. So don't let me down, Char.
Yeah, pressure's on.
I mean, we've already been here a couple minutes talking, and it's already kind of interesting. So I'm excited to see where this goes.
It's going to be downhill spiral from here.
Yeah, I wish we had the hot mic on because we had a fun pre-conversation. So
yeah, I know.
So Char, I just want you to introduce yourself, share a little bit about yourself personally. I know a lot about you, your beautiful family and all that,
Yeah.
but I just want to hear a little bit about yourself.
Oh, thank you, brother. So I am a father of two beautiful boys, right? They are 9 and 8, and so
That look like they're 18.
Yeah. And they are growing very rapidly.
Yes.
And so I'm having a lot of fun in these years, right? Getting to enjoy these. My kids love sports, and so it's really, really fun helping them and coaching them and doing all that. So I'm enjoying myself and got a team here. Been in the mortgage industry since 2005. Ironically enough, I used to work with Eric back in the day, so that's kind of where we started our career. And so been in it for now 16 years and got a great team. And just loving life. I've been here in Sacramento since 2007. Grew up in Southern California and moved to San Francisco and started my career in technology, and like many of us back in the day, we got recruited up to Paramount Equity to kind of help them build their company, and here we are.
Yeah.
Several years later, right?
It's been a wild ride.
Never thought this would be the case, but I am so blessed and so grateful for that decision.
Yeah,
because it's led to a lot of great friendships and just a great career.
Isn't that the same story I think that Kent told?
Yeah,
Similar. Similar roads.
We all have a very similar story.
I was like, wait, I've heard this before.
Yeah, Paramount
Technology.
was very smart when they were starting. They said, we just want talented salespeople. We could teach them the mortgage industry. So they just went out and just gobbled up assassins from the technology market. I mean, I was the young kid that went into Paramount, and I was surrounded by these seasoned veteran salespeople. And it's like, I came out there with a PhD in sales, just being surrounded with all these guys from, really all over the country. I mean,
That's
D.
awesome.
Cotton was out of St. Louis,
Yeah,
and you brought everyone together, and it was just, it was a really neat culture and atmosphere at the time that led to a lot of good things, and most people are doing pretty well that were in that little.
I tell a lot of people, Eric, like I've been in a lot of great sales teams in my career in the technology space, and it's probably the best assembled sales team I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was
well
thought out.
Yeah, very, very, very good.
People from all walks of life. Yeah.
So good.
So your
good.
sons, are you coaching? Or are you just a spectator?
I assist in coaching. Yep. So
Okay.
it's fun.
Gosh,
Play
I'd
with
love
them.
to see
I
you
know.
out there walking to the mound to get the ball from the poor kid.
It's not a pretty sight.
Little intimidation
it's
factor.
really slow walking.
Yeah. Look like Bochy with the knees walking out there. So I know you're big into sports, so it's probably fantastic for you now to pass the torch on to your kids and watch them start to develop.
Yeah.
Because you have a pretty accomplished background in sports yourself, right?
I wouldn't call it accomplished, but yeah, I played at a pretty high level, right? So I was able to get a scholarship, and I played at a perennial high school down in Southern California, Mater Dei High School.
Oh yeah.
Small little high school.
Yeah.
Not well known at all.
Yeah, they're
Little
well
hole in the
known
wall.
for academics and sports, and at the time we were number 1 or 2 in the country almost every year, and we still are.
Awesome.
So that was an incredible journey, just going through that process, and it led me to a college scholarship. I actually got a chance to play both baseball and basketball in college. So
geez.
Wow.
it was good.
It's like Dave Winfield, I'm
Yeah.
across from here.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah, so it was, believe it or not, I've been able to carry over all the things that I learned in sports into this business, right? So it really centers around discipline and commitment and hard work, right?
Yeah,
and so,
teamwork and yeah,
absolutely.
I know they say like when you hire a college athlete or even just an athlete, it's kind of that in itself tells you what kind of work ethic they're going to have, and that's huge.
It is. And I mean, to get to that level, you better be committed, you better be focused, and you better have discipline, right?
Yeah.
And you have to know how to work collectively with team members, right? And so to your point, I think hiring those people, you're going to get your upside with them is off the charts. It's just they're already coming with all the goods, right?
Yep.
You just got to teach them the craft.
Yeah.
Would it be fair to say that those kind of people strive for greatness
And
everything they do?
Nice little
Hey,
tie.
just throwing it out there. I'm shooting from the hip right now, guys. So anyone that gets any level college scholarship, I mean that's a high level talent. I mean, even I don't even care what division it is. It's in any sport really, because that means you've really dedicated yourself to a certain craft and have followed through and have excelled at a very high level. Funny story is I remember back in the Paramount days, we're all past our glory, wanting to relive our glory. And I remember, the guys would get together and play basketball at California Family Fitness. And I remember going, okay, I'll go out there. And I was sizing up. I was the young kid thinking, I'm going to light these guys up. Seeing Char walking around the office thinking, okay, he's going to be a little slow. This dude was like a cross between Dirk Nowitzki and Kevin Garnett. For anyone that hasn't seen Char, he's not a small human being, right? He's just not a small human being. And he was moving around out there like lightning, pulling up like Curry, dropping 30-foot threes, maybe even leaving his hand up there as he backpedals to let everyone know. It was pretty impressive. So let's just say that no one wanted to guard him. What?
And I'm not afraid to sweat.
I was going to say, that was my second part.
6 in the morning, guarding some guy that sweats profusely is not very fun.
I was going to say, because you could get beat and look bad because you could drop a lot of points, but then also they have to arm bar that sweaty back, and that's going to be pretty
defense,
rough.
or that's your own offense right there. You just sweat.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Everyone tried to stay like 7 feet away from me. It was
we let him shoot.
That's why you were so good.
It was fantastic. And you have a beautiful wife.
I do have a beautiful wife. Yeah,
she's fantastic.
She is a fantastic human being.
Yeah,
I got very, very lucky, and I met her in the business at Paramount. So
I didn't know that.
So Paramount really changed your life to start off. It really catapulted you to a lot of future success,
it did.
Both personally and professionally.
I owe a lot to that place. Yes.
So that's great. So let's talk about how you got into the mortgage industry. I know we've touched on your early days in Paramount, but let's take a step back a few years before. You mentioned that you were in the tech sales.
Yeah.
And what brought you into mortgage? What made you want to do the shift? What interested you? And walk us through that.
Yeah.
I always find that curious why people make shifts into another industry.
Yeah, so I was working in Southern California doing tech sales. So I was in the enterprise sales stuff, and we were selling to Fortune 1000 companies. For their entire suite of applications that run their business. So a lot of fun, a lot of great companies, a lot of great connections. Got a chance to go to an early stage company up in San Francisco, got recruited up there. We were in the second round of series funding for venture capital, red hot market. San Francisco at the time was startup mecca, right? A lot of venture capital at the time. And so I worked with various boutique startup companies, helped them in the early stages, formatting, venture capital, getting their first initial clients. And so it was a tremendous time for me, and I learned a ton. But then I got an opportunity I was playing basketball with Hayes and a lot of people that were starting up Paramount Equity.
Oh, okay.
And that's really how it all started. San Francisco,
through basketball there.
Through basketball,
Okay.
we're playing basketball every single week, and they said that they were going to be starting a company and. They were moving to Sacramento, and they were going to go into the mortgage industry. And I'm like, yeah, right. I'm not moving to Sacramento, and I'm certainly not going into the mortgage industry.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm in second round of funding here, guys.
Yeah, I'm living the dream life in San Francisco, and then some stuff happened. A buddy of mine went up here. He's like, Char, you got to come check it out. I did, and met a great group of guys, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this a try.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah.
16 years later.
That's
so
great.
That's really what propelled me. It was meeting those guys. They were all in our same. So they were competitors of mine in the software space.
So you already knew of them.
I knew of them. I knew them. I knew a bunch of people that were coming to work for them, and that's kind of what propelled me up here. So it was random that I chose the mortgage industry. And
it was really the people that brought you here. Then it could have been in industry at that point.
They kind of had the same mindset of an early stage company startup mentality.
Yeah.
And he really wanted to grow it, And so I saw an opportunity, and that's what brought me up here.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I love this. I love this space, and I think the one thing that I love so much about the mortgage industry compared to the technology space was, in the technology space, I'd be selling to IT, all these executive team members. And to be candid with you, a lot of times the technology leaders that I'm selling to knew more about my product than I did.
Oh, wow.
Just because it was so technically based, right? But in the mortgage industry, I feel like I am the technical expert.
Yeah.
And so I am the commander-in-chief in terms of meeting with clients and talking to them through the process and the journey.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that element.
Yeah, that's a good
right?
take on that.
I love being the center point and being able to really give solid guidance through the journey.
Yeah, make an incredible impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, those days in San Francisco were just crazy. I remember one time I drove through and I accidentally got off the freeway in China Basin. Well, back in this time, the ballpark wasn't really finished or even built at this time.
Yeah.
And it was really one of the worst areas of San Francisco was China Basin. It was a
Yeah.
bunch of rundown buildings.
Oh, gosh.
But a lot of the startups would rent the space there.
Cheap.
So you would drive down and it literally looked like a condemned street with Ferraris parked outside. You're like, what is going on here?
No, so the first company I went to, it was crazy. We were located across the street from the ballpark.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yeah, and we had just filed our IPO the day I got started.
Wow.
So IPO is initial public offering. So we were raising money. We're evaluated at $2.5 billion.
Oh, my gosh.
And so it was a crazy time. We were across the street from the ballpark, and we operated in a meat factory
Yeah.
that they converted into offices.
yeah.
And it was literally like 500 square feet. It was crazy.
Do you ever look back at like what that's
But it
worth
was
now?
so much energy in the market. There was people getting funding every single day. There was so much venture capital going into that place. It was very, very dynamic times, and so it was a lot of fun, and we learned a ton.
Are those companies still around now?
No,
No.
Yeah. Most
Yeah.
of them
large
were not.
majority of them are gone.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Some
So you
of
made
them
the right move.
Some of them made it through or got acquired or
A
whatever.
small one
the
like
case might be.
Amazon, I think. A small
Yeah.
company named
Yeah,
Amazon
just a
made it
little.
through. Yeah.
But these venture capital firms were, they were throwing their money at 100 and hoping 5 stuck, right?
Right.
And those 5 that stuck made up for all the other ones that failed.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, no, crazy times. So when you transitioned over, I know when you first started at Paramount, you came out of the gates guns a-blazing. You were a perennial leader there from a production standpoint.
Too nice.
Monthly and annually.
I think I've seen your jersey up on
I
the
was
wall.
gonna say, I think he's actually in the Hall of Fame.
I think so.
So you obviously had a lot of skill sets that transitioned well into the mortgage industry. Do you just want to touch on some of that you felt that really kind of catapulted you or put you at an advantage when you transitioned over?
Yeah, so I think there was a strong correlation in terms of the consultation and the discipline and the systems because if you look at mortgage, it's really a manufacturing cycle, right? There's phases of the manufacturing cycle, but you got to take a client through that journey, and you have to be extremely systemized. Otherwise, it's going to be a very fragmented approach. Mm-hmm. And what I learned in tech sales is you start backwards and you move forward. So we would start with and we were very systemized, very methodical, and you had team members, and you had to allocate team members to a project, and so you had to make sure you're very strategic in who you're aligning them with, and so we spent a ton of time talking about how we were going to go through an actual client acquisition, and these projects would take year, 2 years, and so they were long-term projects. So as a result, I became very strategic. And I learned how to be very methodical and systemized. And so I think that really helped me in this industry.
Yeah.
And then I think going forward, building out team members and what their roles and responsibilities are and how they assist in the journey and what their marching orders are through the actual process with the client. That has also been instrumental for me because I was used to doing that in technology.
Well, and I think you can really take your business to the next level when you have that system and that team. Because I do work with a lot of lenders, and they're like, I want to take my business to the next level, but that means I have to hire somebody. What does that position look like? What are they going to be doing? Are they going to be an assistant? Are they, what kind of things? So it's nice that you have that in place so you can just kind of put somebody in there and let it go and let it do its thing.
Yeah, working backwards, like you said, because you're working on a scalable model at that point.
Right, and I think, the one thing is like, I think people in our space, right, whether it be a real estate agent, whether it be anybody, they're always so afraid, and I'll say, you know, I'm generalizing, but many times they're so afraid to take a chance on themselves.
Right.
So, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna hire someone because I'm afraid that I'm not gonna be able to produce
Keep them
and
busy.
pay for them.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, that's working in scarcity as opposed to abundance, right? But if you trust yourself and you believe in yourself, you know that hiring someone is going to catapult you into the next level, right?
Right.
And so one of the things that I look at in my business is how I look at it, and I really try to, you know, I'm not a doctor and I'm not a dentist, right? But if you look at the way they're set up, right? They have a team members, and the dentist and doctor spend that value component, which is that 15 to 30 minutes of consultation, right? They have all the data, their team put together that person and gave them all the information, and now they're giving them the vitals, right?
Right.
And the journey and what they need to do to improve their situation.
Yeah.
That's what clients are paying for. So if you have a team member, if you don't have a team, you're spending all your time doing the things that is not the most important component in my perspective.
Way to look at it.
And you really can't scale your business.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Makes perfect sense. Yeah.
You got to look at, you know, the hiring as a lot of people look at it as a cost, right? But really,
No,
it's an
it's not.
investment.
It's
Yeah,
an investment.
And
It's
that's
gonna
where
make
that
you more
shift is.
money.
That abundance or scarcity mindset is. You know, you see people that have the talent to go to that next level, but like you said, they're afraid to invest themselves and get out of their way because they're just trying to hold on to everything and not realizing that they can stretch it out if they
They think
really
they're going to
invest.
make more money, but they end up making less money because they can't produce as much and they actually don't have as much fun.
And
So
burn
therefore
themselves out, yeah.
They burn themselves
Yeah.
out.
I see that time and time again.
You have to spend your time working on the things that you enjoy and love every single day.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that my mentor, Kelly Resendez, taught me is that spend your day doing the things that you love and outsource the rest.
Yeah.
Right?
We had Ashley Hugie on here a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago, and she had Kelly as her mentor as well. And very similar structure of, you know, she's a mom and she has 2 kids, and talking about, you know, you don't want to spread yourself too thin. You want to be a mom and you want to be able to work and do the things that you enjoy and not burn yourself out and be burnt out for your children and for your team, your wife, or whoever it may be. So it's very good advice.
Yeah. I mean, you look at all the great CEOs, the real thought leaders and the disruptors, they spend their time every single day methodically doing the things that they love.
Yeah.
And that they're the best at, right?
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. If they love it, that's what they're going to perform at a high level at.
Yeah.
So. That's great. So one thing I always like to ask seasoned veterans like yourself is, you know, what advice would you give someone in their first year or two in the business that you wish you knew when you came in? Like a little bit of advice that maybe you learned through, you know, the ropes. That's just a couple little nuggets that you could share in case someone's listening that's you know, just starting out on their journey in this industry.
You know, great question. It's funny. I was actually listening to this podcast today, and they were talking about, you know, these people coming out of college or getting early in a career, and so many people focus in on the money, right away. Oh, I need to make this, and so I'm going to go after the people that are going to pay me the most money. And you got to scrap that notion and that idea, because you should come into this industry almost wanting to work for free and acquiring the data and the information. Because this industry, if you do it right and you have a process and you have discipline, you have a system and you have a team, you can make a significant earning, right? You're going to live a great life.
Right.
But if you don't, and you learn the wrong fundamentals and the wrong disciplines and the wrong systems, and you think you're going to learn it and acquire all that information, you're going to cost yourself a lot of money over your career, right? You just are. So what I would tell people is, coming into this industry, you align yourself with people that are already doing it the way that you want to do it, and really going in with the mindset of, I will literally work for free, and I will do everything you ask me to acquire the data and the information for me to assemble a team like you do and emulate exactly what you're doing. Don't go in with a mindset that you need to make money right away.
Well, I think a lot of people come into this industry, you know, a lot of people my age think, oh, wow, they
Real
make
estate.
so much money in real estate. And it's like, you don't understand. It's a lot of work. And there's a lot of things you have to learn and a lot of moving parts. And you don't just get to walk in and make millions of dollars. It's just not how it works.
No, you. It takes time. And if you do happen to fall into a great time in the marketplace where money is good, okay, well, guess what happens? It's not long, right?
Correct.
You're going to have the cyclical nature in
It's a
your
wave.
business just because you're only a person that's getting a great market, right? You don't have a system, you don't have the discipline, you don't have the metrics, you don't have anything.
Yeah.
All you have is a great market.
Yeah,
right?
it's not going to sustain when the market
No, it's
corrects
not,
or
no.
adjusts. It's not a long-term
And we
plan.
see that all the time.
Yeah.
People
Oh, yeah.
coming in and out of the marketplace,
Sure.
right?
A lot of
that are
industries
only
are like
here
that,
temporary,
yeah.
and they have a temporary mindset, right? They want now. They want to work on deals now, and they don't build the long-term play.
Yeah.
And once again, that's what Kelly taught me, right? I was literally on the way out of this industry when 2009 hit. And she completely changed the way I thought about the business on building a scalable business long term, how to build your pillars and your referral partners, and actually looking into leads and how do you manage your leads, right?
Yeah.
How do you manage a referral? Who do you know where your lead came from? And how do you know exactly who's giving you the most, right?
Yeah, we just have had.
And then how do you reward that lead? How do you get more of that person? How do you build salespeople that are external to you,
Right.
right? And champions, and that's how you do it, right? And so she taught me all that, and as a result, I worked in 2009 on building a foundation, pillars, and building a long-term play as opposed to a short-term play.
So you know if this market takes a turn or does something, like, you're fine. You've got your systems, you've got your pillars, you've got your people. Because I think a lot of people right now in the last couple of years of what I've seen is just they're getting in the market because there's refis galore. I ask people, oh, hey, I haven't gotten a referral from you in a while. Oh, I'm just doing refis left and right, no purchases. I'm like, that's gonna
bad idea.
bite you in the
Well, it's just
butt.
a lack of their process too. Then
Yeah, and it's obviously you take it while it's good, but you also have to realize it's not sustainable forever.
No. And, you've got to be able to shift, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a dynamic market. It changes literally every single month, right? So what worked 6 months ago is going to be different today, and
Right.
it's going to be different in 6 months. So I just am of the mindset that I'm going to succeed because I can't not succeed.
Right.
That I'm going to succeed in any single market, and I will adjust. But the reason why I can do that is because I have assembled a team that I can transition,
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not figuring it out all on my own.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's great advice. Come in and look at it as a career and a business rather than just a job, right?
Yeah.
Not a transaction,
Short-term.
man. These
Exactly.
are these clients. If you treat them right, I've worked with clients in 2007, 2006 that I'm doing deals with today
Yeah.
and helping them buy homes
2 decades.
in 2021.
It's amazing.
Right? I'll give you another example, and this is me not bragging or patting myself on the back. I'm not by any stretch of imagination. The client that we just helped purchase a home today, we first called 3 years ago.
Wow.
And we stayed in contact with them every single month for 3 years. They actually were going to someone else that didn't work out. They came back to us, and here we are 3 years later, and he's purchasing a home today.
Fantastic.
First home ever,
Wow.
52 years old.
That's amazing.
That's a pretty
Right?
good system.
That's a big, and you know what? You want to talk about rewarding? That to me is one of the most rewarding things ever, is to see someone that didn't think they could do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, as a result, that person is going to change his life,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
That's amazing.
And we're a part of it. And so that is what you want to know, what gets me excited about this. I love it.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely a great story, and
Yeah, that's
I can see
awesome.
how that would be very rewarding. You're selling the American dream. You're helping people, create homeownerships, assets, and
Yeah,
an estate for their
it's just
family
wild.
and all
It's
this
wild.
stuff. Yeah.
Like clients that I worked with 3 years ago on their first home. They're like, I don't think we should do this. I don't know. And I'm not force feeding, but I'm walking them through the journey, and there's a range of emotions. And as a result of them committing to this, here they are, $150,000, $175,000 of equity,
yeah.
Yeah.
right? In 3 years.
Yeah.
And it changed their life.
Absolutely.
Now they're building wealth, not short-term wealth, long-term
Correct.
wealth, right?
Correct.
And that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got to get in, and it's going to seem so hard and so challenging, but when you get in, it is the long-term play, and it's going to change your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real estate does,
It's
right?
amazing.
Agreed.
Yeah. Couldn't agree
Agreed.
more.
No, that's good stuff. So let's shift gears and let's talk about your current status. Where you're currently at, because I know, like you were talking about, you've taken a lot of what you've learned in the beginning, and your mentor Kelly, who I
Yep.
know is helps a lot of people in this industry. She's a pretty big player, and it seems like it's made an impact on a lot of people in this industry, which is fantastic. But I know you've taken that and you've scaled. You've built a pretty powerful operation now with a full team. So you just want to touch on kind of what you're currently doing, your team now, because I think it's impressive. And I know, like Bree said, we work with a lot of lenders, and I will definitely say this and go on record as saying this, is you guys have one of the most thought out, precise processes out there. The way you keep everyone in the loop, the communication, it's very systematic and very intentional. And it's not just, every other deal, or sometimes we do this. It's every single deal. The expectations are similar, and it keeps everyone on the same page and keeps, the line moving, and keeps, the clients, in the know. So I just want to, touch on that, talk about your team, kind of what you've developed here, because I think it's a pretty neat story.
Oh, thanks, You're so kind, man.
Why are you blushing?
It's what I'll tell you is every single day we call it a daily vision.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about what we're going to do, and at the end of the day, we talk about what we did. And then the next day, we talk about what we're going to do, and we on Mondays we go through in every single opportunity, and we talk about what do we need to do to advance the ball forward, right? And then everybody has their marching orders, and we work through a tasking system, and we task out, and then at the end of the week, we look at what we've completed and fulfilled, and we run it like that, super disciplined.
Yeah.
And literally every single week, we talk about what can we do to refine the process. What did we learn? What changed? You know what? We made a mistake here. We're always going to make mistakes. But how do we correct that? And then we just build it into the system. And we just keep doing that. We replicate until we refine it. Now, where we were 5 years ago is not where we are today, right? So we're constantly trying to refine that process. And we're having to do it in shorter periods of time. When I first got in the industry, if you closed a transaction in 45 days, you were a hero.
Yeah.
60 days at times, right?
Yeah.
That was normal. Well, guess what? Today, in this dynamic market, you've got to be able to fulfill a transaction in 12 days.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
12 days, right? So that's how much compression has taken place. So thus, every single day matters. Every single day counts. And you better have a strict discipline on each deal, right?
Well, that's good advice.
Especially when you got several deals working.
Yeah.
It could be very complex. And
Absolutely.
you miss one little component, it could cost you weeks. So that's just what we try to do. My real vision is to build an infrastructure that's so super sound and recruit a network to it and start to be able to bring in new talent from outside the industry that has never been in this industry, right?
Yep.
Young people out of college and teaching them what I've learned in my journey, and then building the next generation of producers. That's really what I want to do, so that I could leave a legacy behind and start building a network of passive income.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And I know you have a solid team, and this last year you brought on another blast from the past and another seasoned veteran, Jim Redden. You know, he's joined your team, which was a huge acquisition by you to have him on board.
He's
I know
great.
he's excellent.
He's an operator. He's one of the best in the business, and so it's been so much fun working with a long-term friend and someone that really kind of brings the best out of you every day.
Yeah.
So it's good.
That's great. Well, let's talk about the current market then. I know some of the stuff that we were talking before, but before we get into that, let's take a short break and we'll be right back. Okay. All right, welcome back. We are here with Mr. Char Ruppel, the man, the myth, the legend.
So awesome. Love it. Love being with you guys.
Chatting and sharing his story, his remarkable story in this industry. But I wanted to really switch gears and talk about the current market because I think you'll agree. I know we talked a little bit before we started the show off camera. It's crazy. It's insane, and there's a lot of factors to this.
Yep.
But let's chat on that because share a little about the current market.
Yeah.
If you're working with buyers, I know I've seen the stories where buyers are out there for going on a year now, have put on offers of 30, 40 homes.
Yeah.
Can't even get into escrow because there's 100 other people offering on these houses.
Yeah, it is. I feel like I've been in a lot of crazy markets. This is, to me, probably the most dynamic and market that I think I've ever seen in terms of the inventory issues and the amount of competition and what people are willing to do to acquire a home today.
Yeah.
And the demand from the seller for the buyer, right? It's wild. The leverage that a seller has in this climate is unlike any other industry or any other market that I've seen.
Yeah.
Crazy. So I think a lot of us really know what the driver has been because of COVID, right? What happened was the Bay Area, a lot of these tech firms have allowed their employees to work permanently full-time, right?
Yeah.
So as a result, they can work in a surrounding market like a Sacramento, take the money off the table in the Bay Area, and live here for 1/3 the price and have a better school system, right? For
live
the
in
children.
a mansion to them.
Yeah, better, larger home, better neighborhood, right? For 1/3 the price.
Yeah.
So that has caused tremendous demand in our market. The good news is that labor is coming up here, right? So you're going to start seeing a lot of new startups. You're going to see a lot of technology-driven companies
I didn't
coming
think
our
about
way.
that.
You're going to have so it's going to diversify our market tremendously, right? Where we were really government-centric, right? We
State
we
workers.
had we're going to have a lot of new industries coming into our marketplace, which is exciting.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
So, but that has caused disruption for us, and so we will be the number one market in the United States this year.
Wow.
As a result of this. So Bay Area has flattened out. That market is going to see almost a 0% return. We're going to see anywhere from 20% to 22% return this year in our marketplace.
Wow.
So crazy times. The low interest rate obviously is causing great demand, right? And there is, to your point, there's very little inventory. Just yesterday, we saw an article where home builders are now pulling back from building just because of the supply cost and the inflation, and the cost of building a home has increased so much that their margins are shrinking. So they're putting a stop on a lot of their building. So you're going to have even more of a demand for resale marketplace today. It is a crazy market. A lot of clients are telling me, "Oh, I'll just wait for the market to adjust." So what I counsel them is, and I challenge them is, I say, "Hey, you can do that. Let's just say that the market does correct, and let's just say your $500,000 home now becomes $400,000. The one challenge is that you could acquire the $500,000 home at 3.125 or 3%. Right. But if you go to 4.5 or 4.75, you will have wished you paid $100,000 more for the home.
Correct.
Because over the long term, right, and that's what I call the total cost of ownership, over 30 years, what does that look like? Yeah. Well, that increase in interest rate will have cost you about $150,000 to $200,000 more over the lifetime of that deal. So interest rates are everything in acquiring real estate, right?
Yeah.
And in the California market, over time, it's continued to appreciate. We're going to appreciate. We've had some peaks and valleys, but the reality is that if you look at the worst market we were in, which is in the 07 to 09 period of time, right? In the history of this market, we are back to those numbers and we've exceeded them, right? And the lowest that it's ever gone.
Yeah. That's what's crazy. And that's where, I see stuff and I try to follow the market because it interests me quite a bit. And you hear all those people that are talking about correcting and, oh, we're on another bubble here. Oh, here it comes. Yeah. Because it wasn't that long ago that this is a similar feeling of, holy smokes, look at the median home prices increase. People are buying new homes that are being built, and by the time they move in 6 months later, they have $100,000 of equity.
Right.
I mean, it's literally is the same story you heard back in 06, 07.
Yeah.
But you look at actually the data, and it tells a completely different story from an inventory standpoint. And then you look at, all the indicators, right? Like you were just mentioning, the COVID, right?
Yep.
We've had so much money pumped into our economy through the stimulus now.
Yep.
So there's just a lot of capital out there right now.
Absolutely.
One of the lowest interest rate environments out there. So you're seeing all this and low inventory. It's just, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And unemployment figures are improving every single day, right? So people are back to work. Salaries are increasing now, right?
Yeah.
Companies are making money. And the one thing that you have to always keep in mind, which is different from the 07 to 09 market, was that those people were not being qualified properly, right? Yep. So it was really fake market.
People were in houses that they had
business
being in those houses.
In today's market, to get a loan in today's climate, it is very, very challenging. So people that are getting loans are very well qualified.
Yeah, they can afford the home.
So outside of factors of them being unemployed or losing their job or anything like that, these people have reserves. They're coming in with a down payment. They got great credit. They got great income, and so they are very, very, very well qualified for these properties. And so you're not going to see this major pullback where you're going to have a ton of inventory overnight of people defaulting, right? You're just not, because people are stable.
Yeah. And they could ride it out no matter what, even if there is any correction, which sounds like a lot of experts say there's not going to be one.
Yeah. So I think, a lot of people are saying that COVID was really our downturn, right? And so we're riding out of that downturn right now. And that's what people believe. So we might have just had a really small hiccup in our economy. Yeah. And now we're back into where it was before. Because if you look at it before COVID, our economy was the best economy probably we've ever had in our history. And so we might be back there. So it is exciting. So I just, listen, I think people in this marketplace, consumers can get very discouraged. Yeah. What I would tell them is, do you need a real good real estate agent? You got to have a great real estate agent. Yeah. You got to have someone that has a lot of relationships in the market you're looking to buy.
Sure.
Because They've got to be able to call the listing agent and say, hey, we've worked together. We have I trust you. You trust me. This client is wanting to buy this home, and we will execute. And that will get you the deal over other people just because they know that there's very little risk on that transaction, right?
Yeah,
So
we had an agent on our podcast last week, and Angie counts, and she said the same thing. She's been with a huge team for a long time. She just went, she's on the pros team, and she just went on her own. And that's what I said, how do you get your offers accepted? And she said, it's because I have relationships I've built. She's only been in it 5 years, but she's done so many transactions and met so many agents and worked with so many people. She's like, sometimes that's what matters is having that relationship with that agent that they know I'm going to get the deal done.
Absolutely. The other thing is you got to have a good real estate agent because you got to write a really good contract.
Yeah.
You'd be amazed that you look at the agents that are succeeding in this climate, they write great contracts. The agents that are not succeeding and are literally with buyers for a year and a half, they write bad contracts. There's a reason why their offers are not getting accepted.
They're not coaching their clients.
They're not coaching their client.
They're allowing them to throw $30,000 under asking price, and it's like, okay, that's
you got to set very good expectations.
Correct.
You got to tell them about the current market, and if they're willing to participate in this marketplace, this is what you have to do to win. And if you're not willing to do that, and you're not committed to the journey and the process, we are going to lose. And I'm in the business of winning.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so if you want to win, here's how we play ball.
Correct.
It's just setting those expectations.
I couldn't agree more, and I think you're exactly right. This market, it's very, very much separated the real estate agents from the stars and then the people that jumped in, like we were talking earlier, because it's a hot season, let's make some money now. I saw an interesting stat. This was like 1 or 2 months ago, so I don't know if it's still current. But at one point, 1 or 2 months ago, there was more licensed real estate people in the nation than there were homes for sale in the nation. So there's actually the ratio. There was more realtors than actually houses for sale in the country, and that blew me away. Now, obviously, that number could be skewed because some people might have license that aren't actively doing stuff.
But still,
but nonetheless, it just shows you how many people jump in the market, how watered down it can get, and then from a buyer or even a seller, it is more crucial than ever to have someone that knows what they're doing, like you said, right contracts, set expectations, and has the relationships to get the deals done.
Absolutely. Yeah. And and the other thing too is that, I always counsel them. I said, you don't have to use me, but you got to have someone that is local, a really good lender, and that lender better have a good relationship with the real estate agent because you are collectively a team, and you better go in as that image to the seller. Because if you don't, and they think that there's any fragmentation, you will not win. Yeah. And if they don't know who you are and they can't count on you executing from a loan perspective, you're not going to win, right? So you have to assemble a great team in order for a consumer to win in today's climate. It has to happen.
Well, because the sellers, they're not playing around. So if they're in escrow and they're asking you to remove the contingencies and the lender's dragging their feet or can't get the loan approved,
not happening.
Deals are going to fall apart. I mean, you probably heard or seen that. So, I agree. It is so important not only to have a talented realtor in this market, but then the lender, right? And that's where people like yourself come in. Is you got to have someone that knows what they're doing, can navigate, set the expectations, and help drive the deal to the finish line.
Yep.
And then you enter. I mean, then you have to have a really incredible insurance team behind you as well. I mean, let's just throw that out there right now too, right? You got to make sure they're delivering on the back end.
I got to tell you, to that note, and you did not set me up for this, but your team has saved me on several deals. And I'll tell you, you buy in these areas of high fire, Grass Valley, Nevada City, Auburn, any of these areas where insurance is really complex. And if you don't have the data beforehand and you don't have a good team that is getting you the right information, it could cost you a transaction because it could be a change in payment of $100 to $400 a month. Sure. If you're not doing your homework in advance,
absolutely,
and you're not setting expectations with the client, you could be 3-4 weeks into a transaction and find out that they can't even qualify because they didn't properly look out for the home insurance. Yeah. So because of your team, you've saved us so many deals.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
was not scripted or asked. So that was very kind of you and nice.
Looking at his notes,
but it does, and so. These clients are coming to our team for a reason. They need to have their hand held. So giving them just the option of just go and find anyone, that doesn't work. You got to have a team, and you just say, hey, this is my team, and I'm going to ask that you participate with them because they know what they're doing, and they're going to get us to the finish line.
And you're absolutely right. Making sure that also the other big factor is insuring the home properly right now.
Yeah.
Our industry, like every industry, has people that are trying to take advantage, or rather than setting expectations with the cost of insurance increasing, especially in the high fire areas, what they're doing is cutting coverage to try to keep those same old expectations of, what insurance cost 2 years ago so their clients don't get upset. We had one the other day where it was a lender came to us and said, hey, our underwriter's kicking this back. They're not approving it because they won't give us a replacement cost estimator. It was a condo, which is a walls in, 100 or 1,600 square feet. They had coverage A at $30,000. That wouldn't even pay for the kitchen.
Yikes.
It's supposed to be, it was more like 175, 180,000. So they said, can you write it? We got with the client, coached them, set the expectation. Obviously, it was, triple the price than what they had because it was a sweet deal when you're not insuring anything. But we got to the finish line, saved the deal there too. So it is important to have an overall team, driving it from the realtor to the all-star lender like yourself, and then just on the insurance on the back end.
And yeah, it's wild, and consumers don't know, right? So you have to have an ethical approach, right? You've got to be doing the right things for your clients to build to our point, building a long-term business is sometimes telling clients no and doing the right things, because that's how you build a long-term business, right? Is always doing the right things for the client.
Yep. I can't agree with you more.
Yeah.
So I just want to close out. Thank you
for
coming on the show, man. It's been fun as always. You're a wealth of knowledge. For anyone listening, there's no one better than Char in this industry. He's up there with all the top talents, and his team is amazing. And like I said, they have a wonderful system that pushes deals through. So anyone that's looking to refinance, purchase, work with an expert, and just talk through scenarios, couldn't recommend Char more. I've worked with them for a number of years. Absolutely.
It's such a pleasure.
Yeah. So thanks again, bud. And we appreciate you coming on. Anything you want to add before we close out?
What's the best way for people to, get a hold of you? Or are you on social media, or is it email?
Local basketball gyms. Watching the big guy dropping 40-foot bombs.
Dunking on everyone.
I love it. Best way to reach me is 916-300-1450. Or you can email me at char, C-H-A-R, at Ruppel Team, R-U-P-P-E-L, team.com. So,
awesome.
And I am on social media. I'm on all the,
Yeah, he's everywhere.
Yes, it's good. It's
all
good.
Right, my friend,
thanks again.
Appreciate you. Everyone, thanks for listening. Hope you got something out of this. He's a wealth of knowledge, and definitely reach out. Have a great day, everyone.